Evening, evening, guys. Welcome to another episode of Podcast 34. And I'm here with a very good friend of mine, but someone that's got a bit of a story to tell and a very interesting character. So I'm going to introduce him as Hong Kong John.
That is what Josh calls me.
So I met Hong Kong. Well, it must have been 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it must have. Long time.
We met during COVID. Well, that was before you were even badged, wasn't it?
That is correct.
And then I managed to persuade him to get a security license and put him at my favourite venue at Slug and Lettuce. I believe you're still there, aren't you?
I'm still there, 4 years on.
Yeah, head doorman.
Head doorman. Gone up a little bit.
Happy days. And obviously with Johnny, you all know Johnny. So I used to be Hong Kong John's manager back in the day, and so did Johnny, didn't you?
Yeah.
But we also became mates as well. So
That's true.
So why are you called Hong Kong John then, John?
So, short story is, obviously, when I used to work doors, on the radio, if you just send John, there could be anyone. It could be Don, John, someone else. It's always just one syllable. It's really easy to get mixed up on the radio. So I just told people, I was like, look, listen, just call me Hong Kong John. At least I can hear the first bit, and I know it's me, and I can just come running in. And Josh just kind of like used that, and it just became a thing. He introduced me to like all the venues as Hong Kong John, and then now it just stays.
No, it's stuck, yeah. So you were actually born in Hong Kong, that's correct, isn't it?
Born and raised, yeah.
But you're British.
Yes, indeed.
And you're born British.
Correct.
So how did that work for our viewers that don't understand the...
mechanics? So basically, it's some lucky of us, I would say, you got a chance to apply for British passport before the handover in 1997. So my family was one of the lucky ones because they work at a national airline, Cathay Pacific, which gives them a chance to apply for it. So I was quite lucky. I got two passports, a full English passport and also a Hong Kong passport.
So when you talk about the handover, what do you mean by that?
So in the year of 1997, Hong Kong finished 99 years of colonial history of the UK. So it was under Thatcher, I believe, wasn't it?
Margaret Thatcher, yeah.
So it got handed back to China. And at the same year, they promised that for the next 50 years, Hong Kong will remain autonomous. They will have the same system in place, same languages, same police force, same laws, to try to keep the handover smoother.
Yeah. So Hong Kong, as I'm concerned, so the idea was Hong Kong will still be a democracy, still have freedom of speech, so it'll still be slightly separate to China. So they'll still have all the things they grow up with, but the Chinese would have overall control. Is that right?
Yeah, most likely, yeah. So basically, one of the really obvious things is we got the freedom of press. So, for example, a newspaper can go anywhere to interview anyone, and they can publish it as well, which is something that you can't do in China. And back before 2019, if you want to voice your opinion about the government, it's completely legal as well. So you can go down the street shouting that China is really bad. Fair enough, fair play. You've got a following as well. But yeah, it's all slowly changing at the moment.
So what's changed in the past, sort of, like you say, it was sort of 2019 it's all started.
So I think it all started all the way back. It's 2004 or something. It's been long. Maybe even longer. So we always had the demonstration for the 4th of June, which is the Tiananmen Square massacre. So every year there will be literally millions of people going down the street to voice the support for democracy, because that is obviously like a big thing.
What's actually quite shocking, sorry to interrupt, is when I went to Shanghai, or the Merchant Navy, no one in China really knows about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ask about it, they either, like the older generation just won't say anything about it.
Do you think it's because they don't want to say anything in case they get themselves into trouble, or is it just pure fact that they don't know?
I think, well, you'll know better
the
than I
bottom
do.
line about it.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of both. So it's kind of like you're asking the North Koreans, like, do you think Kim Jong-un is fat?
Yeah.
They all know the answer to that, but they're not going to tell you.
So yeah, I think from what I could gather, the older generation didn't want to talk about it to get in trouble, and the younger generation not even aware of it.
They might not even know, yeah.
So, but yeah, so you could go on. So because of that, Hong Kong's deprioritised.
It's been like 10, 15 years of constant, every single year on the same day, we hold a candlelight virtual for all the people that died during that protest. Most of them are students, may I add. They're just university students. Same like anywhere else, like the ones that they have in America, like Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
So, but recently, China's been changing the law slightly. It's more into favour. So they try to turn it more into like a normal Chinese city instead of like a separate entity. And people don't like that. Obviously, it's your way of living this whole time. You're used to it. You enjoy the freedom. You enjoy democracy. So loads of students gone on the streets on what's been called the Umbrella Revolution. So why is it called the Umbrella Revolution? It's because what started as a peaceful protest, and the police then start using like water guns and like CS gases, like tear gases, and things like that to try to suppress it. Rubber bullets, that's another one. So obviously people then start making homemade shields. They start wearing, for example, like hockey protection. If people do fencing, they wear the like any piece of protective kit they can get, knee pads. And one thing they find especially useful is umbrellas, because when the tear gas canisters get lobbed over, you just use umbrellas to block it, or even close it and chuck it back like a baseball. Yeah. So that started what's called the Umbrella Revolution. So every time you see like water guns and tear gas coming, all the umbrellas are there.
Oh wow! I didn't. Obviously, I was aware of the police. Starting to use the tear gas and all the Chinese. As far as aware, the Chinese police coming in from the mainland, isn't it?
They didn't. Well, some of them did come, but they come under the guise. Basically, they come from China, but they start getting issued like Hong Kong police uniforms.
Right. Okay.
But you can tell which one's which because they won't have the rank slide, and they won't have their shoulder number. Same as like they can't be identified because they haven't got time processing that way. But also, if you go back onto the news, you can see in a massive sports stadium just north of Hong Kong in China, you can see from the drone footages inside the stadium, there's the police and army or stations as a former point ready to come down if they're needed, and riot trucks and things like that as well.
So they're sort of getting prepared. So you've recently come back from there, haven't you?
Yes, I did.
What's it like out there, and what's the atmosphere like?
Very different now. So one of the main difference I would say is everyone's favorite newspaper in Hong Kong is the Apple Daily. So that has been the most popular newspaper for a long time because it's entertaining. It's always got something to say about like government and things like that. It's a rubbish newspaper. I'm not gonna lie, but
it tells the truth.
It tells the truth, and it's entertaining, and you can always tell there's still going to be some gossip there. The owner of that newspaper actually got arrested around 2020 time. Got charged under a new law they passed, which is a national security law. So he is now in China somewhere, being detained.
And no one knows where, I'm guessing.
No, don't think so, no.
So how are the people that live there coping, and what are obviously the people that you speak to, what are their thoughts? Is anyone sort of pro going towards China? Are there people that want independence? Are there people who want to come under British rule? What's the kind of sense of what the people want out there?
It's two main schools of thought, really. So there's obviously you've got the people that's basically enjoys the British rule. They enjoy the infrastructure that we put in, educational system which is free, like all the way till you finish secondary school. We got the best universities, so they enjoy that, and they enjoy law and order. So they are saying that they are the ones that are also on the street protesting. Maybe we should go back to like English rule. But you also got people who are making loads of money trading with China. So obviously they will want Hong Kong to be more like China, so it's easier for them to make money. So you've got two main school of thoughts there.
That sounds a lot of uncertainty to me, where nothing's like concrete about what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's very uncertain.
Yeah,
I personally think that the truth never gets told properly.
No,
and they tell people what they want to hear. It is a fine line, isn't it? Really, about what is the truth and what actually is going to happen.
Yeah, I think I might have been wrong, but I think Dominic Raab was the foreign secretary at the time when, I think it was 2019, the Chinese started coming in quite hard.
Yeah.
And then we had to do an accelerated visa program for everyone that was born before 97, because in theory, like you alluded to earlier, if you're born before 97, you are then a British citizen.
Yes, but we also got a third type of passport that no one knows about. It's called a British Overseas Citizens, or what we call the BNO passport. So that passport is issued to people who are on British territory, but not necessarily like English. So with that passport, you can still visit England visa free. It's quite nice, but you cannot live here. You cannot vote. So what Dominic is trying to do is basically try to see who's going to be useful in this country, who's people who are educated or people who are seeking political asylum, things like that. They try to basically speak through that to convert the BNO passport to full English.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So I think they got a 2,500, which is not a lot actually. What's the population
More than that
of
now.
Hong Kong? It's about 50,000?
No, I think, I'm not too sure, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. So obviously 2,500 sounds good, but in the whole grand scheme of things, it's not really, because for all intents and purposes, anyone before 97, even though, like you say, it's a BNO, are still British because they're brought up under British law, British education, British standards. Whether that, I'm not here to discuss whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's the system they're brought under. And when Thatcher signed it over, was it the 2-state, 1-country solution?
Correct.
So when
one country, two systems.
That's it. Yeah. So when Mrs. Thatcher signed it up, and like you said, it was for 50 years. Us as in the United Kingdom were a guarantor of that.
Yes, and it has to be a lot of that happening, unfortunately.
It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like we've actually done our end of the bargain. So almost like if I took a loan out and you were a guarantor, you would have to pick up the loan. It's a similar thing, but we really, other than maybe putting a bit of pressure on by the UN, we haven't done a lot. And because of everything that's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in Israel, which are obviously important subjects, what's going on in Hong Kong
has been brushed aside.
Yeah, it's kind of. And this
at the moment.
And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the podcast to kind of talk about it and bring it to people's attention, really.
Yeah, I would say Hong Kong's atmosphere has definitely changed. So back in the days, it was like a buzzing economic hub. You got major big companies that have the quarters there. You have Apple, Google, like big banks like HSBC. You have Chase banks. They all have their Asian headquarters either in Hong Kong or Singapore. Mostly they're in Hong Kong. And after 2019, I think about 40% or maybe more of all these big companies have moved away their headquarters, being that they've seen what China has done and they no longer think Hong Kong is a viable option or safe enough option to keep the assets there. Because just like North Korea, China has come over to you one day and say, your company, I deem it illegal, and I will confiscate all the assets you have overnight.
Yeah, and if you're, like you say, HSBC or something like that, and you've got thousands of gigabytes of personal data, potentially that could be a risk if that then goes in the hands of Chinese authorities. And then I suppose you're then going to have other issues where the American government, UK government, NATO countries, and even European Union might turn around to these countries and say, well, because information has been leaked to the Chinese Communist Party, you can't operate in our country.
The territories,
so that is probably the risk management they're thinking of what could happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so.
So does that mean going back to living out there, has the prices gone up as well with food and
absolutely,
bills, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's gone up by quite a bit, I would say. I'm just trying to find a comparison. I think 2 years ago, when you go back to Hong Kong, a McDonald's meal would probably cost you about £3.
Yeah.
Now it's closer to English prices. It's about £7-8 for a meal now. So it's gone up quite a lot.
Yeah. And I guess in where, like you say, all these corporations have left, wages have either stagnated or haven't really increased much.
Yeah, wages hasn't increased. Not at all. And inflation's gone up. Rent is always a problem in Hong Kong anyways, because how expensive it is. But you can also see that there are more people selling their flats now because they're migrating over to US, UK, Australia, Canada, or even Taiwan or Singapore.
Yeah, I was going to say, even like Singapore now is kind of turning into attractive options for people
to immigrate.
Yeah. So what do you think the future holds for Hong Kong? What do you think the direction is going?
I think ultimately it will become a part of China, but China doesn't want Hong Kong to be like a first line city. It doesn't want to be like Beijing or the equivalent of New York. The whole reason being Hong Kong was not built by them. So I think there was in the culture they would see that as a shame if one of the mainline cities is built by someone else. So most likely they will just try to dial it down a lot, water it down a lot to make it become like second line, third line city.
So do you think they're trying to basically bring it into managed decline, and then once it's kind of lost its
charm,
its charm on the international stage of once that's up? Because if you think of Hong Kong, you don't think of China really. You think of bright lights, buzzing city, James Bond, and all sorts of other movies at Fast and Furious.
I must admit, I've visited before, and this is going back. I can't remember how many years. It must be my age, but I noticed how vibrant it was when I went, and how buzzing, and I don't know what it's like now until what you've just said, and I can imagine it's just completely different.
It is very different now. The vibes, 100%. It's very more dulled down. Like it's lost quite a lot of its charm. So even when I went back there, I was like, oh, most of the things that I'm used to and know are no longer there, which is a shame, really, because that's what makes Hong Kong. I do know that recently there has been a movement of restoration of some cultural icons. For example, now they are really focusing on the restaurant culture, but like the traditional Hong Kong style restaurant, they're trying to bring it back. They're now putting it in newspapers and things like that. And another thing they're really trying to preserve is the neon lights. So if you look at pictures from the 70s, 80s, or even back in the 60s, you'll see all these massive neon signs everywhere. This is like the classic definition of Hong Kong. So they're now trying to preserve it. They're trying to make a big thing out of it, and you could even buy LED replicas of the lights, which you can put in your own house.
Well, why not?
Which is why I brought back one.
I'll take it you still have family out there, or any friends and stuff?
Yeah, family still out there, because obviously that's their life, really, haven't they? They haven't really lived here at all. So
So what's their take on what's going on, or did you not really discuss that?
They can't really say much because obviously you don't know who's listening. Technology is quite a scary thing, But in my family, the opinion is quite split. So some of the family members, they do really miss the old ways of life, but some of them they're like, look, China's so much cheaper, it's just a logical way we can get things cheaper if we're fully integrated with them, things like that. So
hopefully it's not all doom and gloom. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah. But it's always a bit scary. It's like if someone tells Ukraine that you're going to be integrating with Russia,
you're going to be very worried.
Yeah. So it's like you got similar culture, similar languages.
Yeah.
But then you just you know that you have no choice in like 10, 20 years.
Something in the back of your mind where you're going to be like alarm bells are going to be ringing.
I think that I think if we were asked if I want to be the 53rd state of the United States of America, as much as I love our American cousins and I've got a few friends stateside and I love going there, I don't think we would want to be a part of it, if you know what I mean.
100%.
Rather be friends and have them similarities, but have them differences as well.
Which has already been recorded, because just before 1997, before the handover to China, you can see record high of numbers of people exiting Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So all the civil servants that ever worked with governments, they all left.
Yeah.
Prison service all left. Loads of police officers left.
Yeah.
Anyone with any intelligence left. So that has been happening again in the last few years, especially after 2019, when they passed the national security law.
So when did you come to the United Kingdom then?
Oh, that must be about 12, 13 years ago now. So it's quite a while
So
ago.
you were still quite young, still a child then.
Yeah, I was 16 at the time, teenager.
So how did you find coming to the UK? Because I imagine there was a bit of a cultural shock for living in Hong Kong. How did you find that transition?
Yeah, so like most exchange students at that time would tell you, because obviously when you learn about English culture, you learn it from TV and movies, right?
Yeah.
So you learn it from, for example, Mr. Bean or Harry Potter, things like that.
Yeah.
So most of us will expect when you come over here, people in suits, in nice smart dresses. So it's quite a shock when the school I went to in Nottingham put me next to like a housing estate, and all I've got is little kids running around in tracksuits, chain smoking.
Not quite the Harry Potter vibe.
No, I think that went off track.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
So obviously you came over to the UK and you ended up in Nottingham.
Yes, that's the first port of call.
And why Nottingham, or was it just the first place you sort of ended up?
So basically, I was applying for schools at the time, and I went to basically I got accepted from this school, and yeah, basically, they are a government school, just local government school. They're not an international school or anything, but they got a small quota of international students they can take, and they rely on us to pump up the grades for more funding.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So how did you? So obviously you now live in Bournemouth. How did you make your way from Nottingham to the South Coast?
So I obviously moved down here for uni, and then when I was considering where to move, I just say to myself, it's going to have to be a nice city.
Yeah.
Not in the Midlands. Sorry for the listening in the Midlands. Yeah, so I was like, right, okay, so it's going to be, either South Coast or maybe somewhere big like Manchester or something like that. So I came down to do visits. So my three choices were Bournemouth, Oxford Brookes, or Plymouth. So I went to all three unis and I decided on Bournemouth because of the beach.
Well, I mean, as much as Bournemouth has its problems, it is a beautiful town.
It is a nice place,
especially in the summer. So obviously, I know you ended up doing loss prevention management at Next. What's the journey between leaving school, doing uni, and getting to that position?
So just like any students that finish uni, so I was desperate in need of a job. So I've actually started Next as just a normal shop assistant. But then the managers, especially the loss prevention manager at the time, he saw that I'm quite obsessive, like observation. How do you say that?
Observation skills.
Observation.
Yeah, my observation skills quite there,
Yeah,
so I can
observant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. So he can see that I can spot like tiny little things. I can see when things move. I can see it when people are dodgy. I report it to them. So when he actually retires 5 months in, 5 months in my shifts, he actually decided to approach me and be like, look, I'm going to be leaving my post. I see that you got quite a bit of potential. I know you're quite young, but would you like me to train you up? And then I could maybe really take you on. So that's how I started. Got really lucky there. Got an interview with the head office. They send the big boss down, and then got a job there. I think I was probably youngest LPO they had at the time.
It's not bad, especially for a big chain.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then obviously COVID hit.
Yep.
So what happened? What happened to you at the start of COVID? What was going on in your life?
At that point, I was working for a sales and marketing company. I was dealing with international clients, but unfortunately, the company decided that, especially the international client that they were having, decided that because of COVID, nothing's going to happen. So basically, they just gave the contracts to contractors in the local countries, just shut us all down. So we just took the redundancy and gone.
Yeah, and then you ended up on the COVID site, Creekmore.
Yes, I did. So through word of mouth at that time, I ended up in Creekmore. Didn't know what to expect at first because all I got told is a job in a car park.
It sold it to you.
Yeah.
And there's no other jobs going because obviously everyone's on either furlough, nothing's opening. So I was like, I can't even get a retail job. This shop's not open.
Yeah.
So can't get hospitality, which is you need something quick. So they're like, well, we got a job. It's all I heard is it's an NHS job and it's in a car park. I was like,
yeah. It was there were some right characters wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
So obviously, I know I don't have to say with Brooksy about this, but we had people on tag, convicted burglars that were in the local newspaper.
Oh, you are.
Wait, working with
The ex-chief.
police officers, and we're not just talking about normal police officers as well, like parliamentary protection guys, Royal and Specialist Protection guys, armed police. Like it was the
You can't make this up.
No.
No. It's like,
Yeah, the inspectors, like, yeah, it was great fun.
police inspectors.
oh, dear.
I mean, in terms of security, there was only about a couple of civvies on site, which was me and Sol.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got your license, I think, after that, didn't you?
Yeah, I got my license while I was working
Yeah.
on that site, but obviously I decided to switch team because,
Yeah.
because of Josh, and then, went on the security side, yeah.
Well, because I know, so what did you do on the COVID site? What was your job?
COVID site, well, that was quite an interesting one. Yeah. So I started off just as a normal person working on the site, and then I got approached to do these strategic, what we called MTUs, the mobile testing units. So basically what happened at the time was it was near Christmas. I think it was just before Christmas, wasn't it? France decided to close the borders to all the truckers that's going through until they get a negative COVID test. So that caused a lot of chaos. There was 5,000 truckers stuck in Kent, in Margate.
Oh, yeah.
You could literally hear them honking their horns all the way back to London.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
Yeah,
it was
fastball up there, basically.
It was on news, yeah. So they needed a large amount of reliable people. I got picked by the site manager to be one of the persons that's going to go in and support them. So I've done that. Spent a Christmas on an airfield in the cold. Get them all back to France. See you later. And then because I've done a good job, I think they have decided to keep me on the MTUs.
It was a good crack. Obviously, not at the time because of everything that was happening, but look back at it, it was certainly interesting. And I did meet some really good people. You've been one of them. So obviously, I've been doing security for a while at that point, and that's my job on the test site was security. And like you alluded to earlier, there was a knack about you that had that security knowledge. Now, it's probably a mix of your loss prevention days, amongst your background and your upbringing, just being aware of your surroundings and things like that. So I remember, obviously, I persuaded you to get your license. And at the time, my train of thought was to get you on the events with me. And we'll just go around the country and do the circuit together. And then out the blue, the area manager's job for Regency came available, and I needed good people quickly. And you done your course with Rob Knowles, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So big up Rob. I think 90% of the door staff in Bournemouth are trained by Rob. To be fair,
probably pretty much.
And then so at the time, well, just before COVID, I was head door at Slug and Lettuce, Richmond Hill. COVID hit. Joe asked me to become an area manager or put a word in for me, and then they were getting inconsistent door staff, and they needed someone smart and someone with a brain. And you take because you when you're in a suit, you're not without being sounding like a homosexual. Nothing, not to have a problem with them, but you come across very presentable, very customer focused. So put you at the Slug, and I think you are well loved there. You've been there ever since.
I have, yeah. It's been nearly 4 years now, isn't it? 3-4 years, yeah.
4 years, yeah, because it's 2021.
Yeah, damn.
It's
gone quick.
And I don't think there's really, when you're there, I don't think there's really have any issues. You know the staff, you know the door, you know the venue. But then you've done other stuff as well. You jumped on a few gigs with Brucey, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Glastonbury to be one of the big ones. So backstage with Bruce.
Yeah,
that's nice.
So you've been about a bit. What's your plans going forward then, John?
Going forward, this is going to be a tough question, really, because I've got interest in potentially to develop my language side, because obviously I speak 3 languages fluently. I've got a bit of security background. I speak basics and also like Spanish, Italian, German, and I can read Russian. Yeah. So probably develop a bit on that and hopefully get myself on a CP course.
So obviously, without going into greater detail, you're looking at maybe some home office work, foreign office work.
Something like that, yeah. And
Read if you read between the lines, yeah.
yeah, hopefully somewhere more exotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between the Caribbeans.
And then you're looking at doing your CP license and excelling into that domain.
Exactly that,
which
yeah.
I think will be a good move for you.
Yeah, I think it's good. I actually spoken with Luke Cool. I don't know if you know Luke. Yeah.
Big up to Luke.
Big up to Luke.
Luke,
Yeah, really good lads.
Yeah.
So he was. You meet him every now and then, second letters.
Yeah.
And then
So Luke is a very high-end, capable CPO. I can't talk what he's done, but he's done some really good tasks. But I've done a couple of jobs with him this year, but he's not a job snob. No, he's not a job snob. I think you've done the same. Asked him to do a door, just a normal door, which is way, way below his pay grade, to be honest. But if he's available, he will do it and have no
complaints
about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't rock off and get his cock out and say how big it is. Well, a lot of people do though. But he just gets on. He does the job. He does a bloody good job, and then moves on to the next one.
Yeah, 100%. It's fond memories of us working together back in Revolution.
Yeah,
those are the days.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely.
He was one of our better doormen, I'll say.
Yeah, I think how he came about, it was through Rob Feasy.
Yeah.
That Rob brought him on board, and
another great doorman.
Yeah, Feasy.
Another great bloke.
Well, in fact, Rob was, I would say, it's a toss-up between Rob and Chris, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
But Rob was one of my best head doors I ever had because the paperwork was squared away.
Yeah.
He'd done his own recruitment. I never actually need to do anything with his venue.
No.
And over there, he would send me, like clockwork, on the Monday, the timesheets. On the Tuesday, he'll send me the rota for the next weekend. And it'll either be fully manned or it'll be this gap here, that gap there, because a lot of his lads, all his lads are squaddies, so obviously some of them on deployments. But he was as squared away as they come. It was a big, big help.
And all his lads he brought on board was spot on,
Kieran.
So many.
There's so many of them that I can't remember all their names, so sorry guys, but big respect for you guys. But yeah, we're going on a bit of a tangent. So you're looking at going into the close protection. Yeah,
hopefully, yeah. So that's on one of the cards there. So just see where the development goes. Are we trying to do some more self-development, doing courses on an open university, for example?
Yeah.
Loads of things on the site, still cracking on with different languages. Let's see where we go.
I think languages is a good one because, as most of us are insecure, we're in all sorts of group chats, and every now and then there's a weird and wonderful job that comes up because they want a specific language or something just bizarre.
Swahili.
Yeah. And it'll be we need a French speaking person to go to the Alps for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But they got to be under 5'9" and you do get some bizarre requests, but the point to what I'm saying is the more bows you can put to your arrow, the more versatile you are, and this is why I'm also a big believer in networking.
Yeah. Because
if you have a strength, if you got a weakness and someone's got that strength, that's where you can rub off on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm better at events, Johnny's better at doors, you're better at corporate. So I can learn off you with corporate, you can learn off me for events, I can learn off you on door,
Mm-hmm.
So if you all work together, I feel like that's where you can accelerate each other.
Well, exactly. We've said this time and time again that you bounce off each other.
Mm-hmm.
You adapt to how each other works.
Yeah.
And then you make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
In the long run.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people within the industry talk about how bad it is and, the industry's fucked because everyone's this and everyone's that, but there are some really good people in the industry still.
Yeah.
Don't get wrong, I know there's issues and problems, but I'm not here to be negative.
No.
But, you do still come across great people, which I think is important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, we wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
You got anything else you'd like to add to the wonderful people out there?
No, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
It's a privilege.
Nice seeing you again, John.
100%.
Nice to see you, mate.
Yeah.
Always
Hopefully
lovely.
keep in contact.
And cut.
Perfect. Jesus.